then ahead of Lofthouse. Barry Stanley is in with a mathematical chance, but I have to say it's about the top two. Jimmy Brown, Nichols and Jamie Robinson are joint. The bad news for the two championship men, though, however, is that they've qualified in 14th and 15th place respectively. The front row comprises Kevin Maudsley, who won at Alton Park, pole position from Steve Patrickson, home from the Grand Prix scene, Jimmy Brown, Fernando Mendes and Chris Palmer from Carlisle.
Watch this, there they are on the third row, the two men who have the chance of winning the title. It's going to be between those two, and of the two, Neil Hodgson had a really good start from the third row, going immediately into fourth place round Paddock Hill Bend, and a lot of riders running wide, however, but Hodgson up into second. Race leader Chris Palmer, now Hodgson now down into fourth again, so a lot of pushing and shoving. And that looks as though that's Lofthouse, unless I'm very mistaken. That is Mick Lofthouse, the yellow machine. That looks like the number 31 bike in the gravel. And could well be that Lofthouse was a little bit unsettled. I'm almost certain that's Mick Lofthouse being helped away. So that is not good news at all. Out then at the front of the pack, it's number 2, Chris Palmer from Carlisle. There's Hodgson in third place. So number 25, Neil Hodgson, up to third. Roger, a real schmozzle. There's the race leader. And if that was Lofthouse, we'll get confirmation, but almost certainly it was.
I think you're absolutely right, Barry. That was. So that obviously that information needs relaying to Hodgson. You can see him there. He's actually in fourth place. Chris Palmer stormed away. There's Hodgson with the pink wheels, bike number 25, just 18 years of age. An awful lot of pressure on a young man's shoulders, but he's got a lot of pressure lifted off him now by the fact that he's leaning on Robin Appleyard there on the entry to clearways. These little 125cc machines, very narrow wheels, little contact patch. But Ian Locker, Appleyard, and there's number 25, there's the championship leader, Hodgson.
Race leader then, number 2, Chris Palmer. And look at the lead, up to Druids. Chris Palmer has an unbelievably long lead already. In second place, it's number 30, and that's Stuart Nichols from Boston. So Nichols, there's Robin Appleyard as well, pushing hard. So Appleyard from Yorkshire, back from the Grand Prix scene, having done a full World Championship campaign. Robin Appleyard is pushing hard in third place. Hodgson, however, is now being pushed a little bit further back because Ian Locker, number 9, has gone up into fourth. This is the battle then for second place, third, fourth, fifth, a freight train of activity. It's Nichols, and right in the middle of that lot is young Hodgson. There's Nichols, number 30. And Robin Appleyard in the distinctive green and yellow livery in third place. Number 3, good to see Rob Orme going well again. Rob Orme, and a hand in the air. Race stopped, so the rider's hands up. A red flag being shown, so the 125cc race being stopped. We can only presume that is to get either the ambulance or the recovery vehicles to the fallen riders in the Paddock Hill Bend tumble. Mick Lofthouse right in the centre of that fracas, looking totally dejected, just wondering maybe if he could possibly restart. The restart of the 125 race will be over the full 12-lap distance, leaving the door wide open for this man, number 25, Neil Hodgson, because his chief opponent, Mick Lofthouse, number 31, does not go in the restart. So Lofthouse then, sadly, a spectator for this one, is going to sit by and watch the 18-year-old Hodgson almost cruise, unless some misfortune befalls him, almost cruise to the 1992 125 title. And that was Hodgson going very wide at Paddock Hill Bend, just as he did in the first outing. It's Fernando Mendes in front. Number 16, Fernando Mendes, has hit the front. Hodgson is in 8th place at the moment. Number 2, Chris Palmer from Carlisle, tucked in. There's Steve Patrickson, number 36, ahead of Hodgson. Hodgson then, with the pink wheels, number 25. And a flying start for Fernando Mendes.
The young South African Mendes on the Nick Carpenter engineering machine. And this pairing have really worked together well during the tail end of the 1992 season. Looking forward now to building their 1993 campaign. And they're the championship leader with everything to gain. And he has to be very careful. He's right in the thick of the traffic. There is one man who can take the championship still from Hodgson, and that's number 4 Barry Stanley, who started on the 3rd row. So we'll be looking for the number 4 rider, and he's right on the tail end of Hodgson. So the youngster has to stay out of trouble, Roger. That's really the key to success, I think.
Quite an incredible story with Neil Hodgson. At the beginning of this year, he wasn't considered good enough to have an entry in this class of racing in only his 2nd year of racing. That was put right by means of a special request, and then we have him in a position at 18 years old where he's actually leading this championship with the hope of securing it at the end of this race. But unfortunate for Mick Lofthouse that he went out, who was the main contender for the championship in the first part of the race. But unfortunately, that's racing. You win some and you lose some.
Into 3rd place, number 36, Steve Patrickson, the former double 125 and 250cc British champion. He won both classes in the 1989 Super Cup, and it's number 36, the 3rd place man we're talking about. Behind, though, there is a lot of 125cc activity. Robin Appleyard, number 89, is in there in the yellow and green. This is the race leader, though, number 16, Fernando Mendes. Number 2, Chris Palmer from Carlisle. Then it's Patrickson, then it's Stuart Nichols. And then the number 44 in 5th place, number 44 storming through, Mark Westmoreland from Hull. So look at Westmoreland as well, leaning on with Hodgson, number 25, going round the outside. Appleyard is ahead of Hodgson, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th place, number 25, Neil Hodgson.
Isn't it fantastic how close they ride to each other? The amount of confidence that they actually have to have in each other as competitors is quite incredible. These bikes are the smallest, they're only 125cc, but they still do 135 miles per hour, and they take an awful lot of handling. Look how close they are.
Ahead of Hodgson, and the gap now some 10 machine lengths, Robin Appleyard, but this is a tremendous performance for Fernando Mendes, leading the best 125cc riders in the country. And also there are 2 men who regularly compete in the World Championship and have done the entire series, and he is really acquitting himself very well. Mendes has really hit form. Patrickson still in 3rd. Then it's Appleyard now, who's moved up into 4th. So the 2 veterans of the campaign in the Grand Prix series in 3rd and 4th places. Stuart Nichols ahead of Hodgson. So Hodgson now in the top 6. 10 points will give him 75, and he will get 10 points if he finishes in 6th place. But knowing him the way you do, Roger, is he going to try for the race win, or will he settle?
How can you dampen the enthusiasm of an 18-year-old? It's really very difficult. I think he rides very maturely. He's got an old head on young shoulders, and he's able to cope with this kind of pressure, and that's what makes him so outstanding for his age in British motorcycle racing at the moment. I don't personally think that he'll try to win the race. He wants to win the championship, because a championship lasts for a full year and a race win only lasts until the next race is run.
Number 30, that's Fernando Mendes. Well, you can see for yourself, 95.07. Fernando Mendes storming round. What a tremendous lead he's got, and what a superb race. A very, very talented young man indeed, the race leader. Mendes, Chris Palmer with a very quick motorcycle, and Patrickson, the 26-year-old from Shipley, is in 3rd place in closing. So Patrickson's motorcycle also very quick. Hodgson going round the outside of Stuart Nichols, number 30. So Hodgson has nailed another place. 4th place Appleyard. 5th now Hodgson, up to 5th. So 22-year-old Nichols is pushed back behind, and number 15 going well, Kevin Maudsley. So Kevin Maudsley, the pole position man who won at Alton Park, has gone through on the tail end of Neil Hodgson,
and is being pulled along ahead of Rob Orme, number 3. Race leader then, Fernando Mendes. Second place, number 2, Chris Palmer. Then it's Steve Patrickson. Then it's Robin Appleyard, Neil Hodgson, Kevin Maudsley and Rob Orme. A real string of talent and a whole host of names to conjure with.
Neil Hodgson actually fell during qualifying yesterday morning, damaged his left shoulder, and then he had the afternoon session to qualify, and that gave him his lowly grid position. But he's certainly putting to shame some of the riders that he's qualified in front of. It's only the second time that he's ridden around this Brands Hatch Grand Prix track. Robin Appleyard, the man in front, is a regular Grand Prix World Championship rider. He's hunting him down at the moment, but I think Maudsley, who was the pole position man on bike number 15 there, just passing Neil Hodgson, is the danger man for the front runners.
Let's watch the progress of the number 15 rider then, Kevin Maudsley, the man in the middle of this flying trio now, and right with him, our man Hodgson, the championship leader. Ahead of them, number 89 from Keighley and the family business up there in Yorkshire, Robin Appleyard. And this is about 4, and look at it, Maudsley going through number 15, so Maudsley, nicknamed the Angry Gerbil, is now scrapping with Grand Prix regular Robin Appleyard, number 89. And Appleyard has a whole team of Japanese factory mechanics screwing his motorcycle together, the very best support crew almost that money can buy. He has the very best bits from the Honda factory that are available to privateers. So Maudsley's bike is incredibly quick. Appleyard seems to have no answer for it. Kevin Maudsley then tucked in the slipstream, as you can see, in 5th place. Neil Hodgson there in 6th. Now, there's a potential danger here that Maudsley and Appleyard, in their struggle, could maybe spell just a little bit of bad news for Neil Hodgson, and hopefully will stay out of his way, but you never know.
If he's concentrating hard, then he'll be ready for any adverse move that any of the 2 riders in front make. I don't think it's possible that they can fall down and collect Neil, because I think he'll stay at a safe distance, but still close enough in touch to try and use their slipstream and tow to tow him closer to the front 3.
Fernando Mendes then is under real pressure now from Steve Patrickson, who's gone past Chris Palmer up into 2nd place. So Patrickson, and secretly my money was on Patrickson to win this one, because he is very, very quick and he's a Grand Prix regular. But Fernando Mendes is having a superb ride, and that's no disgrace at all to be passed by Steve Patrickson, who took the British Championship double, as I said, in 1989, clinching the title here at Brands Hatch, in actual fact, on that occasion, both in the 250cc and the 125cc class. Since then, Steve Patrickson has been involved in a very hectic Grand Prix, full Grand Prix campaign, a very expensive full Grand Prix campaign, and has been, I think it's fair to say, a little bit disenchanted by the reception that the 125cc privateers have had at the world level by the new regime. And it could well be that we'll see more of Steve Patrickson on the home front here in the UK in the British National Series. I personally would welcome that, as I'm sure you would, because he is an immense talent and has really set this 125cc race alight. 26 years of age. From Shipley, Steve Patrickson now leads the very determined Fernando Mendes, number 16, on the Nick Carpenter Honda. In 3rd place from Carlisle, it's still Chris Palmer, and a great race at the front. And down in 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th place, Appleyard, Maudsley and Hodgson. But Maudsley now ahead of Appleyard. Hodgson then staying on the back and riding very, very sensibly indeed.
This is the dice for the lead, and of course British Championships, no strange thing for Patrickson. Look at how close they are. That's 95, 100 miles an hour, believe it or not, through there. Mendes is a very hard man, so is Patrickson. Out of the 2, Patrickson has the most experience, and he's probably lapping approximately half a second a lap faster than anyone else on the circuit at the moment, although Mendes is responding to that and going with him, so he must be doing a similar lap time. But Patrickson, in all, 9 times a British champion at 26 years old, so a wealth of experience really for his young age of 26, most of that abroad.
Number 16 Mendes then, the 24-year-old, as I say, Portuguese sounding name. Parents were Mozambique, and he grew up in South Africa, spent most of his formative years there, did a lot of junior riding in South Africa. Since coming to the UK, though, has had a fairly good season, although a bit injury-fraught from time to time, and is still looking really for a good national win in 1992. Patrickson, number 36, I think, will deny Fernando Mendes that golden opportunity here at Brands Hatch, but Mendes has got a lot of talent. He's very scientific and skillful in the way he's hunting down Patrickson, not letting him get too far away. Steve Patrickson, I guess, just reflecting a little bit on what might have been in the Grand Prix season. Had he stayed at home, might have been a different story for him. Hodgson then still in 6th place. Kevin Maudsley and Robin Appleyard scrapping out for 4th, as indeed are these two for the race lead, and Mendes is going up again on the outside. Mendes at Druids, right round the outside, giving it 150%, and he's on the right line here, but can he go through? No. Patrickson closes the door down into Graham Hill Bend, onto Cooper Straight. Mendes is on the inside again, and that's the right line. Almost, but no, Patrickson sweeping in. It's amazing just how quick Mendes' bike is. Absolutely no advantage. Patrickson has got the best bits in there that money can buy for the Privateers Honda. And it looks as though Mendes' bike is every bit as quick. These two now pulling away very slightly from Chris Palmer, number 2, who's also having a very, very good ride. But Chris Palmer lying in 7th place in the championship. Fernando Mendes would have been a lot higher had he not had some problems early in the season. He's had 2 third places at the 2 most recent rounds. Prior to that, hadn't scored a single point. So if he'd come good early in the season, it would have been a different story.
Mendes seems to have shrugged off his reputation for throwing it down the road, as he's done quite a few times early in the season. But he seems to be riding very well. He's ridden well for the last few national races now. He's challenging Patrickson now. He's tucking in the slipstream, 120 miles an hour, and you could literally put a ruler between the rear wheel of Patrickson's bike and the front wheel of Mendes. He's now alongside, and Patrickson may push him off the track. No, he didn't. He could have easily pushed him off the track then as he used all the road, but Mendes held back. Patrickson still has the advantage, but Mendes is hounding him and looking for this national win here at Brands Hatch.
Over 8 laps gone, and Fernando Mendes is on the charge. He really is on the charge. Another lap record here. And this will be a tremendous fillip for his confidence. He really is riding with the very best in British 125cc motorcycling here. Steve Patrickson must be having a great time just getting that lovely feeling of leading a very important race. And let's face it, he hasn't done that for a while, because on the Grand Prix season you really have to have the very best equipment to run with the best in the world, and frankly, unless it's a factory bike, you don't have a chance. But Mendes has gone. Mendes has gone past Patrickson again at Dingledale, running wide, and that was almost a mistake. He was right across the curb there, and Patrickson almost went for the hole. And I think there's just a little bit of an erratic style creeping in to Fernando Mendes' game now. He's running a bit wide, he's under a bit of pressure. Patrickson is very wily, very, very canny, I think is the word I can use to describe it, and he's got him measured. And coming up the paddock, Hill Bend on the inside is Steve Patrickson. Now what's Mendes going to do? Duck back on the inside or tail him all the way up to Druids? Brilliant race at the front between these two. Well over 3/4 distance then. Fernando Mendes in this 31.2-mile race, having led for at least 4 laps, is now looking as though he wants to regain the lead. Steve Patrickson, on the other hand, is saying, I'd like to win it, thank you very much. I've not scored anything. In fact, I've not contested any other races in this Super Cup in the 1992 season, and I'd like to win this one. Championship leader still in that scrap further down the field and riding very, very sensibly indeed. Number 25, Neil Hodgson, 6th place, and that will do it for him. That is a very calculated and very sensible ride. They're throwing caution to the wind at the front, however, because this is the battle for the lead. And really, we're talking about some pocket money, some prize money, and a bag full of points. 20 points to improve the championship standings of Fernando Mendes, who's currently sitting on 30, so he will move on to 50 and move right up the table. And that will be good for him because it's a good negotiating base for the 1993 sponsorship deal, which of course all these riders want to get signed and sealed for the coming season, so they know just how much money they've got to spend on equipment. It's a crucial time, Roger, this part of the season for them.
It's the time of year when the riders all try their very best, because these are the races that people will remember over the winter months when they're thinking of who to put their money with for the following year. So it's very important to do well. Mendes is going to be a great bet for anyone next year. Steve Patrickson may be doing the World Championships again next year, or may decide to contest the domestic championship. But either way, you can't afford not to have two people of this quality in a domestic race, doing an absolutely fantastic job. Now, this is the point that's so important, because the corner we've just come round means they now go round down the long straight towards Hawthorne Bend, and you can see now Mendes is trying on the outside of Patrickson. This is incredible, 125 miles an hour. They didn't use all the road there, but I think he made it. Yes, he made it. Absolutely fantastic stuff.
Well, it's breathtaking, isn't it? Mendes, I think, is inspiring Steve Patrickson, because I'm sure Patrickson thought, well, here I am out here with the national headbangers, and there have been some pretty frantic 125cc national races in the UK this season. I wonder if I'm in safe hands. Well, I think Fernando Mendes is proving to him that he not only has the ability to race him at his own level on a head-to-head basis, but the fact that they're moving so closely together at such a hot pace indicates to me that Patrickson is very comfortable with the quality and the standard of riding that Fernando Mendes is delivering. And equally, Mendes knows that Patrickson isn't about to do anything rash or silly, and therefore he is prepared to really go as hard as he can. Meanwhile, Neil Hodgson, down in 6th place, is now riding home with a lap to do to his first national title. At 18 years of age, really has a star-studded career ahead of him, I'm sure. He was desperately nervous before the proceedings this morning, but it all appears to have come good for Neil Hodgson. Whoever wins this race really is academic as far as he's concerned, but not for these two. This could be a Grand Prix the way they're going at it. Fernando Mendes, number 16, Steve Patrickson, as they rocket down the hill. And there's Hodgson riding that very sensible race, number 89 Appleyard. But there is our champion-to-be with about half a lap left to do. Patrickson, Fernando Mendes, and this one is going to go all the way down to the wire, but I think Patrickson might just have enough in his bag now to keep Fernando Mendes, number 16, behind him. Patrickson then from Shipley, sweeping to a win, and I wish I'd put some money on this one because I thought he might do it. Number 36, Patrickson, rocketing down the hill. He will be in sight. They have one big right-hander to do, I beg your pardon. The checkered flag in sight. Mendes, I think, has left it too late. There's nowhere to go. Patrickson will break the toe across the line. See, Patrickson gets it. Fernando Mendes. But the championship goes to number 25, Neil Hodgson. Hand in the air. He knows he's done it. A tremendous ride, and our congratulations to Neil Hodgson.